Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic Podcast. I have another fascinating guest with me today. Who I have with me is Lightstar. Now, this is going to be part 3 of the interview chain I'm doing with Pink Bella Aloha, Indigo Angel, and Lightstar, helping them promote their conference that they're having here on April 1st. And she's going to get more into that. More about my guest. Lightstar is a pioneering, internationally acclaimed high frequency attunement artist, celestial channel author, and starseed ambassador who's passionately committed to guiding light workers, starseeds, and spiritual seekers to discover the truth of their soul. Her groundbreaking visionary attunement artwork and frequency encoded best-selling oracle decks are infused with sacred color rays and light codes that transmit pure divine inspiration, which help people awaken, realign their soul, and be inspired and recall their destiny path. Lightstar's transformational music activation is carefully produced and designed to contain light language and toning, specific encodement frequencies, and exquisitely beautiful music that will purify, transform, soothe, rejuvenate, upgrade, and provide activation for you in various ways. And she's just so much more into that. But I want to welcome, she's been on many radio shows, many podcasts. So I'm really honored to have her on my show. Lightstar, thank you for joining me. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much, Rob, for having me on. I really appreciate it, and I am honored to be here.
Before we even get into how you got into all this, like, can you talk about first, like, your music? Like, I'm really into frequency music. Like, when I was reading your bio, I noticed this, that you produce like frequency music, but it says it has light language in it. Can you talk about that a little bit? That's really interesting.
Yeah, well, as we'll probably talk about light language a little bit, but because I speak over 20 different languages of light language, and I've been really at the forefront of this in the first place. But my music just came out, I would say, or downloaded into my field a couple of years ago, because I had, been doing the artwork and all my session work and, client work and all of that, and opening up that part of it. But I got a big giant download of doing the music, and my music, the first music that I produced actually has light language in it, and I'm speaking the light language, and I created the music behind it. So it's called my 444 music activation, because all of my music has it's actually 4 minutes 44 seconds long each track, so that's why I called it 444. And then I started to continue with that, so I have one that's a Transcension 2222. It's 22 minutes 22 seconds, and it's Vision Quest and music. And then I have my newest one, which is the White Swan solfeggio activations. And that music is 555. So it's White Swan 555, and they're 5 minutes 55 seconds. And so what I did with that one is I layered some of my toning, some of my frequency tones through language. There's light language. It doesn't necessarily have light language speaking in it, but it's my toning of light language. And it actually is aligned with the solfeggio tones. So there's 7 of them, and that are in the CD anywhere, the digital CD, and they're all attuned. Like every single layer of the track is aligned and attuned to that specific frequency. So it's 417 hertz, 528 hertz, it's all attuned to that frequency, and it's super healing and very powerful. So that's kind of like my encoded way of creating music. And I'm going to be doing more, but time allotting to be able to do everything, it takes a while to create these things. But it's super fun and exciting, and that's really activating and healing. It's very healing too.
Yeah, I've noticed anytime anybody speaks light language to me, it gives me like a brainwave vibration. It really, there's something with light language where it does activate something in you. And like people would have to hear it just to hear it. What do you think's behind that? Do you think it's just the divine inspiration of it that triggers something in the brain, or what, the frequency?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. There's a lot about light language that is, coming onto the scene here. I mean, I've been speaking light language since I was 9. I didn't know I was actually speaking it at 9 until much later on. And then all these other languages started to come in. But the languages and the frequencies that, are spoken or if there's, singing, some people actually sing in the light language, or some people speak it, or sign it, many different ways. But it actually is, it's a language of the heart. It's really more for the heart to open and the body to expand, and also the body to receive, and for us to remember. So what I found, what was happening early on when I was doing my light language and doing light language healing and activations, is I noticed that people, and even myself, whenever I hear it, or even when I speak it, believe it or not, I actually got activated by my own light language. That seems kind of weird, but it's true. But when I would hear it back, or I even see people and they'd be like almost doing this, like their body would start moving, or they just do a little tick, or it's just like or something comes into their body and it feels like this kind of almost chills. And sometimes they come, angel bumps or whatever you want to call that. And it goes to a deeper level. And so, we're all used to the languages here that we know on the planet. And so when we hear something out of the ordinary, it's kind of like, what? And it sort of almost gives you this sort of, you can't figure it out from that perspective of language. And so your body is the one that is receiving, attuning, and even down into the DNA. I mean, the DNA actually gets shifted and changed and awakened and activated from light language. So there's a whole myriad of things that happen. And over the years, I have seen some different things happening with people's experiences, and my YouTube channel, where I do all sorts of activations on there, I just started, people were getting activated and having memories and triggering all these different things. And it was like, it really, really important stuff that was coming out. And, not just like a whatever, it was like, no, people were just generally being shifted. And so I started to see this was happening. Everyone's going to have a slightly, different experience from the different languages. And I always say to people, if I had 4 people lined up in front of me and I speak one language, all 4 of those people are going to get something different from it. It may not always be the same. And so what I always say is, like, try not to get too heavy into, I have to analyze it, I have to, know exactly what you're saying and that kind of thing, because that's like saying, okay, spirit energy is coming through you and I'm going to try to analyze all of that. Okay, it's going to dilute the purity of what's coming through. So we want to just let that happen. Okay, let it, do what it's doing to your body, and don't worry about so much of the, some people do get interpretations or messages that come through after that, and that's fine. But just know that it may be different for everyone, and people maybe receive something different.
That's fascinating. That really is. Like, what I wanted to get into next was how you kind of got into all this. When you were on Indy's channel, I heard you say that you compared your experience to a dark night of the soul, but you called it a Kundalini quest of the soul.
Yeah.
What happened that triggered you to get in this community and in this field, and how did it affect you?
Yeah, that's one of my things. I'm starting to shift the terminology from, we all know Dark Night of the Soul, but I'm calling it Kundalini Quest of the Soul, because it really, that's really what it is we're really shifting, and your soul's awakening and things that are happening. So, but I was I won't say all, everything, because I talked about it there, but I was in the corporate world for all those time, years and years and years. And I was in fields that were not related to this whatsoever. Okay. Forensic engineering, environmental, I was at construction, all these different kind of industries.
I can relate. I was a mortgage broker for
10 years.
years.
There you go. Yeah. And I was working with insurance adjusters and attorneys as well, because I was in their continuing education department. So I had to deal with a lot of those type of people. And but I enjoyed that kind of work. It was kind of fun, and I liked the people I was working with. So it's not like it was horrible, and I learned so much, and I still use some of my marketing experiences from that even now. But that whole world for me changed in about 2009. Okay. That was when the market crashed, if you remember. and
yeah.
everything fell apart, right? Bottom dropped out. And I also lost my job at that time. I was carried on for quite some time, but I knew I had gotten a year before that, I had gotten the hit, you need to do something else. And so I was just like not listening, and I still hung on to the job. But I ended up, after that happened, that's when I went on to, again, it's like a dark night of the soul, but it was a Kundalini quest for my soul to really get on the path that I was meant to do here. And I knew that, okay, I had a background in a lot of other things as well on the side, believe it or not. I was a massage therapist. I did a lot of certifications, naturopath, tons of different energy work of certifications. And so I was always interested in this. And I knew that somehow it was going to blend in there somehow. But it definitely came out when I finally got here to Sedona. Didn't anticipate staying here for more than 6 months, but now it's been 14 years and my whole life changed. And that's how I started to get into it, was the beginning of in Sedona. I got activated here. That's when my artwork shifted into this type of artwork that I'm doing now. That's when my gift of my intuition kicked in, and I started doing sessions with clients. And I've initially started out doing psychic readings in Uptown here in Sedona for a year, and then eventually kind of blended into my own work. And yeah, it's been a journey, literally a journey. But there are so many things, that happened before that literally just shifted me into my path. But once I started on this path, there's no going back. You just, you can't turn around and go back asleep. It's like once your eyes are open, you have to keep going forward. I mean, you can go backwards, but I think that, once you're awake, it's pretty evident that you really can't go back too much, and you don't really want to. It's like your soul won't really let you go back there. Even if you try a little bit, it's like you'll get pushed the other direction. Nope, go in this path. So it's kind of interesting how we all, and I mean, everybody has got their own journey with this, because I know everyone's at some point in their life, they're going to have that awakening moment. They're going to have that aha, like, okay, I got to get on my path moment. Everybody's going to have that. And more people are having it now than ever before.
Yeah, we're going through like a mass awakening, like, right? And it's
Very
a massive
much,
shift in consciousness.
Absolutely. I mean, this has been going for waves, but we just had a giant wave through what happened in 2020 and then beyond. All of that has caused another huge wave of awakening. And it's propelling people to get on their path, to do their mission, what they came here to do, to step it up a notch, and to do it. And so that's causing a lot, actually, as we've seen, and I know I've seen a lot more healers coming onto the planet, a lot more, all the people that are doing this kind of work, whether it's astrology or healing work or shamanism or whatever, everybody's coming online. There's a lot more people that are interested in knowing and knowledgeable about this. And that's part of it. That's just part of us coming into the truth of who we all are. That's what it is. And then we have the people, the way showers that have already gone through that now get to help it's not even just the younger generation, because this can happen even to the older people who still haven't awakened in their 40s, 50s, whatever, at any point along the journey. And then the way showers are there to help the others, to hopefully help them not to stumble as much as we all did.
I agree. One thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I just talked to Indigo Angel about this, but I wanted to get your opinion on this. Like, our history isn't what they tell us, especially our galactic history. Where do you sit on what our galactic history is?
Yeah, as I was in school, in college, my least favorite subjects were history and math. Okay. History, I didn't really understand why that was my least favorite subject in school, but now I do, because everything you're taught in school is actually not what's happened. Okay. And it's funny, because we all, even as we expand out and we start remembering and recalling, and even on our past lives, that we've been in here on the planet, a lot of us go, nope, that's not what happened. I don't remember that happening. So I think that we are all, like I said, we're all learning and growing. And I'm excited because Indy is really she's got a lot of knowledge about all of that galactic history. The ones that I know that I have some of my own memories and my own experiences of some of the Maldekian wars and the Maldek Mars War, because I actually remember it. Like I've had a dream when I was young. I have a very active dream time. But the dream time when I was young, actually, I saw it. I saw what happened, and I saw the explosions and the evacuations and everything that happened from there. So some people will remember like the Lyran Wars. Some people will remember the Orion Wars. Really, it's all, and then some people will remember the Maldekian Wars. Some people will remember the electrical wars that happened way before any of that stuff happened. There's been so much that's happened. And then there's so much of our history on this planet that we just do not even know. Okay. It's like, I don't even think anyone really knows how old this earth is really, and who was here before that. Okay. Because we weren't just like, oh, boom, we just all, just eventually just came onto the planet. No, there were many races that were here before our human, consciousness here, and who we know, this physical body that we know of now, got here. And again, with that, I'm going to give an example of that, the Maldekian wars, like all that stuff happened, but yet there was even beings that were here prior to that, prior to this. And we've had many, many cycles. We know the Atlantean time period, the Lemurian. In my view, the Lemurian time period happened prior to the Atlantean time, except for they also crossed over in their time periods as well. But I do feel that the Lemurian was a bit earlier, and that it expanded across the entire globe here. So, and we have the Tartarians, okay? The Tartarian Empire, that actually is why you see these beautiful buildings that are all over the earth, whether it's England or Russia or whatever, these beautiful structures that we don't even have the capability of creating now. And so
those got covered up a lot by mud floods, right? Or something
yeah,
like that.
it's totally, and a lot of them were destroyed, but the ones that remained, we still even see them today, and that it's like the civilizations just kind of moved in from there. So there's been a lot of destruction of civilizations, but the memories and that we still retain some of that, some of that crystalline energy from the Atlantean period. We still retain that within us, the Lemurian blueprints. We still retain that, those of us that have come back, and we're actually supposed to be seeding that again. So it's really unfolding that whole energy blueprint and of who we truly are, and our gifts and our DNA that is supposed to be activating as well, going back to that original blueprint of who we are.
What I was going to say was, it seems like we're building civilizations on top of civilizations.
Absolutely.
And forgetting about them. Like that whole thing with like Tartaria is really interesting, because you could even go as far as like, I know there's a guy, I've had him on my show. His name's like Howdy Mikowski. He talks about like, the World's Fairs and how they kind of use the World's Fairs to like kind of frame people's perception on the way they wanted reality to be. Do you feel that? Do you feel?
Yes.
Do you ever look into that as well?
I think that if we were to uncover layers and layers of our earth, like, if the water just, descended and we had this drought and everything that's uncovered, we would start seeing all of these structures underneath. The pyramids, the layers, there's literally layers and layers of stuff that we see. And that's even underneath the ocean. You believe what's underneath the ocean, because that, you think about it, all that ocean came and like flooded over all of the civilizations. So there's like whole civilizations under there. I actually am going to talk a lot about that in my class, in the class that I'm going to, my portion of it, especially when it comes to the underwater Atlantean libraries, because I have memories of that as well. So I think that most of us have these memories.
I'm wondering to not switch the subject, but I wanted to ask you, do you think there's like real live UFO bases down there too? I really think
Oh
there is.
gosh, there's so much underneath there. There's tunnels, um there's portals, there's tunnels, there's whole libraries of, underwater civilizations. And a lot of the records actually were kept under there as well, where, that's where a lot of that stuff is. So definitely there's a lot of UFO activity going on, but there's, ships that can come in and out of the underwater. I call them the aqua gates. I just call it the aqua gate.
I like
And
that.
so that's really what is under there. There's just a lot of activity that's happening under there. It's just that we aren't able to see it, visibly. We have to go either in dream time or conscious state or remote viewing or something like that to be able to actually see. But I have seen a lot of different activity, a lot of different things. And one of my images, which is called the Atlantean Libraries, is based upon that, those aqua gates, if you will.
Yeah, your artwork's amazing. I've looked at it. It's unbelievable. You guys got to go check out when I post this. Like the audience, I want them all to go check out your website because your artwork it's mind blowing, really. I wanted to ask you something like about you said you have a really active dream time. So do you astral travel / OBE too?
I have a segment in the class as well that I'm going to talk about dreams. But I have a super active dream ever since I was a very young girl. And I used to keep dream journals and all that. I would say I didn't really experiment too much, like with, out of body experiences and trying to going into the astral plane, like, forcing myself to go into the astral plane and waking state or anything. I mean, we're all going into the astral anyway when we're doing dream time and sleep and all that, but we have all these experiences there. We have different layers of experiences. And, one of the things I'm going to talk about too is that I want to share the different stages that people go through and the different types of dream time that people receive when they're in those different stages of awakening. And these are all things that I've kind of tracked over time. And even some of the master sequence numbers that will show up in those different time periods. Because I think that dreams are very fascinating. And I think that a lot of us don't really know what's going on in our dream time. We wake up and just think, oh, that's weird. And you blow it off. But if you really start to dive in to the dream world and start really seeing what's going on in there, you'll find that a lot of that is just another layer. It's like another layer of reality, just like we are here, except in a whole different dimension. And we're actually doing our work in that dimension, in that area. So we're actually doing work in our dream time. And if you ever wonder why you're so tired when you wake up, sometimes it's because you're actually having a whole different experience, and you're either you could be doing battle in your dream time. You could be doing teaching in your dream time. There's so many different layers that happen in that dream world. And that's why a lot of us, especially starseeds, who are active, super active in the dream time, wake up, like, wow, I feel like I didn't get any sleep, but I did, but I didn't, So
I've heard that before. I've heard that other that the secret space program and stuff can kind of use our consciousness even, or maybe like entities can use our consciousness. Like the consciousness isn't one dimensional; it's very multi-layered, right?
I personally think that more of us are in that super soldier, or actually in the, different programs that we're in. I think that more of us are involved in that than we even know. Okay. Because I just know that. I feel that. I've always got an intuitive hit on that. We just don't remember. And we don't know sometimes what we're doing those things in our dream time as well. Okay. They're not always bad things that we're doing. I'm saying like we're, on mission, even in our dream time. That have to do with those programs, perhaps, or we're directly or even indirectly linked with that you might get an assignment that you're just grabbed at night, like, hey, we need your help, with this over here. and you're kind of enlisted just to help with that night, and maybe it's a confidential thing and you're not supposed to remember that. So sometimes you don't remember your dreams for a purpose. After that experience is done or happened or mission is done, then you might remember it after the fact. So I always say to people, when the people are struggling sometimes to remember a dream, there may be a reason why you're not supposed to remember it at the moment.
I agree. One thing I wanted to ask you about was you examine people's DNA, right? And I was going to say, or can you talk about what you do with the DNA?
Yeah, it's not really examining the DNA, but what I do, it's like I do Starseed Origins. Like Indigo does Starseed Origins, and she utilizes the astrology to assist with getting someone's Starseed Origins or whatnot. And I do it just a little differently, where I'm tuning into the DNA of the person, and really how I explain that is that it's like, because then you could say, well, if somebody goes into another incarnation, then they don't have that DNA anymore. But that's not true, because when you're in a incarnated state, anything that has DNA in it, okay, after you leave this physical body, this physical suit, that DNA matrix of information, right? It's information. It's not the DNA. I'm not talking about the DNA encoded like your hair color, your eye color, your skin color, but I'm talking about the information that's in the data, in the DNA, that is where a lot of your soul origins are, is stored in there. It's stored also elsewhere, but in your DNA. And then when you leave this form, in this body, that information gets extracted back up into your soul. And then you go on to different incarnations and different incarnations, right? You keep going, that matrix of information is there. And so it's always there. And that's where I'm kind of reading someone's DNA structure of their origins or starseed origins. It could be angelic, could be starseed, or elemental. Those are the three that I tune into and, can share. And then I also share what you're doing in that role, because part of my work is to help people with their purpose and, mission and purpose. So I look at the different aspects of you, and from that level, and then when I'm looking at the DNA, then it expands out, maybe more into the Akasha or the Akashic records too. And then I'm seeing what you're doing in that aspect of, where you're coming from. And then I look at what you're doing there. Okay. Because that information helps you to just also to decipher what you're supposed to be doing in this incarnation. Believe it or not, they're all related. We have many more aspects of ourselves than just like a few. But what I find is a few of these streams of what you're doing in these other aspects of you will eventually bleed through into this reality. And so you'll start to do one mission like that's kind of related to this. And then as you awaken, as you get expanded, you might start doing something else that's related to another aspect of you, and on and on and on that goes. And that's how we are multidimensionally relating to all of it, because all of it is happening at the same time. But that's sometimes a little bit hard to chew for a lot of us to realize that that's happening all at the same time, past, present, future, and all these different aspects of us and all these different dimensions and timelines. That would literally blow your circuits. So we have to take bite-sized pieces of it until we're at that level where we can just, have the all that is knowledge and know all of it all at once.
So what I was going to say was, do you believe in parallel realities then? Like, I was
Yes.
always thinking that like dreams could be a parallel reality, because I've mentioned this before in past shows. Like, I'll have dreams where like I'm living a complete different life. Like,
Yes.
I'll be up raising a farm. You're raising animals on a
Yeah.
farm, and I have a whole family. And in this life, I don't have a family, but in the dream, I have a family, and I know them, and I love my kids. And like,
Mhm.
it seems also very real. You can smell the bread in the oven. It's all so. What it makes that reality not so much as real as this reality. Like that reality could be more real than this reality.
Exactly. And then how would you even know that this is the more real one? Maybe that's the more real one. then this one is even. So I think we have like, I'm going to talk about parallel. I have a dream experience that I wanted to share in the class about the parallel lives and all of that, because I think that it's very important for us. And it can be confusing, because how do you even know if it's in this reality, or if it's in the secret space program, life that you're having, versus maybe it's here on the planet and you're just like having another experience here on a parallel reality, or if it's a parallel Earth or somewhere else. So these are all things that I think are, part of our mission and part of our experience is to decipher some of this stuff, to know. And a lot of it is your intuition has to be strong enough to, and heightened enough to be able to answer that question for even, for each individual, for yourself, because truly nobody who's going to answer that for you, right? It's going to all be in here. It's all in the information, that data inside of you. It's just that most of us kind of wake up and blow it off and go, well, that's interesting, but oh well. And you don't really look at it closely enough, or you don't track, because if you have repeating dreams like that too, do you have like that same family, repeating dreams? Or are you also, a lot of us are we used to call this the celebrity assistance program, when we get enlisted to assist the celebrities, right? So we have these whole experiences with them too, versus vice versa. They're helping us, we're helping them. It's kind of a double thing. So when we have these sort of double lives, or if you have like a, feeling like a doppelganger, like you got a doppelganger somewhere and it's on a whole nother planet, or it's here, but in a different parallel. And so we really have so much that we don't even know on this planet, like what we're doing. But that's why it's so important, I think, for people to have, to really go in depth to your dreams and to really understand where you're going with them. It takes a while to track them, to see, repeating ones, to see themes that are going to be repeating. At some point, I'm going to come out with a dream journal that helps with all of that, because I think we don't really have that many great tools to help us with deciphering those things. And I think that's really important. That's for a future project.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say was, can you give us like, I don't want you to give away too many secrets, but like just an overall, because I know like the way this, I'm gonna be in the I already signed up for the course, so I'll be
Yes,
watching
I'm so excited. Yay.
But I know like Indy's teaching, and you guys are gonna have like 3 sections each, like, so can you explain how that's gonna work out, and like what you're gonna teach?
So we're going to have, it's 4 days, and each of us are going to have a day to teach and to have our activations. So it'll be in segments. So each day, like Indy will have the first day, and she's going to be teaching 3 different sections, okay, of topics. First 2 are, kind of teaching. And then the third section is going to be where she'll do like an activation. And then the second day, it will be Pink Bella's day. She's going to, again, have the 3 segments of blocks of teaching. She's going to do a lot of stuff on 7 chakras to 12 chakra, multidimensional chakras, and do her activation at the end. And then I'm going to come on the third day and do the same thing, same structure, but different topics. And then the last day, on the 4th day, we're going to come back together and do a Q&A panel discussion, or a question answer, that kind of thing. And so on my day, though, I'm going to take a couple of different themes where I'm talking about, in the first one, I'm really going to be talking about awakening the Starseed blueprint in the first section. And I'm going to talk a lot about the Starseed objectives, aligning with star missions. I'm going to talk about spiritual tests and some of these Jedi tests that we get. Either Dreamtime or Awakened State, we get those Jedi missions or Jedi tests. And then what else am I going to talk about? Oh, I'm going to talk about how to disconnect from what I call the obedience mind matrix, how to disconnect, why it's important for us to release ourselves from the matrix, and how to go about doing that, and why, some of the reasons why we have to do that. I'm also going to share some of the things that a lot of people go through when they awaken, and disconnecting from or having to disconnect from family and society and things that are, very different. And so how do you do that? How do you go through that process? So I'm going to talk a lot about that stuff. And then two of the things of Dreamtime, I said I was going to talk about a lot of the different types of dreams that we have and how to create your dream team and how to create that, and also number sequences. So I'm going to talk a lot about the master number sequences that we see, and I've got all that stuff charted out. So that's going to be my first segment. And then the second segment, I am going to talk about light language, and I'm going to share a lot about light language and all the different intricacies of light language and how to decode, things, deciphering things like symbols and glyphs and cosmic languages and all that stuff, and help you guys to understand a little bit more about the light language dynamics. And then in my third section is where I'm going to be doing my activation. And I'm focusing on the DNA, okay, on this one, but I'm going to be doing taking you back to your silicate structure and repairing some of the DNA within that. And also then moving into your ancestral clearing and miasma clearings. And then the third section of that will be an upgrade. It's like, I'm calling it the quantum bridge. And that'll be an activation all on the DNA. So I'm going to be really focused on getting those DNA activated and also cleared out some of the lower frequencies so that we can operate on those higher dimensional frequencies. So that's kind of what the whole 4 days is going to be. It's like literally 20 hours of content that we're going to be bringing. And I would say for people, especially coming through the class, is to at least take a day, maybe after the class is over, to assimilate. Okay. Because there's going to be a lot of information coming in, and we're basically all doing, it's like having a session with all of us. Right. So, and all at once, in those 3 days, you're going to be getting a lot of clearing and activation, galactivation, journeys, that kind of thing. And you're going to want to have some time to integrate it. So at least, take some time for that. Really excited though to be with these beautiful souls that we've come together in this collaboration. And it's like, it's time, for us to really understand who we are, where we're from, and where we're going, and how to get there. And so that's really what we want to bring to the table, and to help people. And it's really at all levels. It's not just, there's people awakening, or there's people that have been on the journey for a while and know a lot, but they just want to get different perspectives and new activations. So it's really for everybody.
Yeah. One of the last couple things I wanted to talk about before we went off is I think we talked about everything. It was your oracle cards. Like I have readers on all the time that do, like readings. And how did you come up with your oracle cards? I'd love to hear about that.
Yes, these beautiful babies right here. The shiny gold and silver, and
those are beautiful.
They are gorgeous, and they are so powerful. But yeah, this is something. I already had my second edition of my Magical Dimensions Oracle decks out. It's been out, but now it's out in second edition. So now we've got the second edition, which just came out, as well as the front of the book. And then we also have the Celestial Frequencies, which is my brand new oracle. And this one is really awesome. It has all of the 12, I should say, there's 12 galactic images in there, and they're very powerful. So it's kind of a Starseed deck. And that one has 7 healing codes, 7 healing shields in it as well. But my artwork, I think initially I always wanted to create it in a format that was an oracle format. And so that's just the nature of it. But the blending them together is really powerful, but they're just upgraded because both of them, the second edition and now the first one, is just completely upgraded. But these are powerful decks. I've been getting tons of people commenting and saying back, this is the most powerful deck I've used. And, I have them, they're not just oracle cards. they can also be used for activators or healing activators. And what I mean by that is you can lay them out in your grid work. Okay. So people that do grid work, you can lay them out on, if you're doing it in an altar space too, you can lay them out in different, put crystals and candles and activation of your grids. Those people that do physical grids just on their altars and things of that nature. But they have specific ones in there that can help to do that in both of those decks. And so they are used for that purpose as well as, oracle reading. So that's just a bonus that I like to allow people to use them as whatever they like to use them for. I mean, I had the first deck, I had some lady take out 7 chakras of the deck and paste them underneath her massage table. And then she'd have people lay on top of it. So, there's people that are using this for healing as well. All different kinds of different modalities that you can use these for. And they're just really, really a unique set of tools for people to use, really mostly just to activate your own intuition, to strengthen that intuitive muscle. So that's kind of my goal with creating this. But people are just expanding and using them for all different kinds of reasons. And I love that. I'm really excited about them. Yeah, they're really powerful. They're super accurate too. When you're using them for, oracles, they're extremely accurate and hold a lot of energy. And all the light language symbols and codes are in the new deck. So the celestial frequencies has all these different symbols and codes and light language. So it's even higher frequency than that. It's just fabulous.
And I also like your swag a lot too. Your merch is really cool. Like I saw the tie-dye type shirts that you have.
Oh yeah, that's my newest thing. That's my frequency wear is what I'm calling it. And I've started out with about a few different designs, but and it's all organic, 100% organic cotton. And it's in a very environmentally friendly facility that does this. So there's a lot of good features and benefits to it, but I chose them because of that. And I know that's really important nowadays, as much as you can do that. But they're really, really nice quality and 100% organic certified, and really fun t-shirts and hoodies and long sleeves at the moment is what we have. So they're really fun. And all this is activating. So they're double-sided, prints. And so it's like either angelic or starseed or elemental. And I have like the Warrior of Truth, Warrior of Light, Warrior of Love series. And so, they're super fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I don't have any other questions. Can you tell everybody, well, thank you first of all for doing this. And can you tell everybody where to find you if they want to book a service from you, or, all that, anything you want to promote? And thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you having me on here just to share about the class and about everything. So people can find me at lightstarcreations.com. That's my main website. And then I'll have information. I have a landing page about the class itself, or the courses on there, up on the top navigation under classes, and then Starseed Expansion class. You can go check that out, and the information, you can sign up for that as well. And, all of my session work is on there, all of my artwork. So if you go to the shop all page, you'll be able to see like all of it in different categories. And then you can choose whether it's sessions, or my artwork, or custom art that I create, because I create a lot of custom art for people as well. And, all that stuff is on there. The music, everything is on that section that you can check out and enjoy. And, I'm here to activate by light, sound, light language, color, music. These are the ways that I am here to help people to raise their frequency up and to hold it up there, ideally. So, but yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and having me on here. I'm excited for you to be in the class too. And for anybody else that is going to be joining in, you definitely are not going to want to miss it. It's kind of a once in a lifetime thing. So definitely go check that out.
That's awesome. And thank you. And it was really nice meeting you. And I'll send you a link when I post it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks. Have a good night.